Most people think connection is about saying the right words. But the truth is, it's about feeling the right energy. You don't need years to bond with someone. Sometimes all it takes is a single moment of real presence. If this message spoke to you, make sure to follow and subscribe. Because here we dive deep into the psychology of human connection, self-worth, and emotional mastery. Together, we'll help you build the kind of confidence and awareness that changes not just your relationships, but your entire life. Being fully present is one of the rarest and most powerful gifts you can offer another person. In today's world, where everyone's attention is constantly being pulled in 100 directions, phones buzzing, notifications flashing, minds racing, genuine presence has become almost extinct. But it's also what people crave the most. When you give someone your full attention, you're telling them, without words, "You matter right now. You're worth my time and energy." That alone can create an instant emotional bond. Think about it. How many conversations do you have where you truly feel heard? Most people are not listening. They're simply waiting for their turn to speak. Their focus isn't on understanding, but on replying. They nod while you talk, but their mind is somewhere else, maybe thinking of what to say next, or worse, scrolling on their phone. That kind of interaction leaves us feeling empty and unseen. True presence, on the other hand, does the opposite. It makes people feel valued, calm, and open. To be fully present, you must learn to silence the noise inside your own head. When someone is speaking, your only goal should be to understand. Not to analyze, not to fix, not to plan your response. Just listen. Listen to the pauses in their words, the emotion in their voice, and the things they don't say out loud. Presence is more than hearing words. It's about feeling them. When you do this, people sense it. They feel safe around you because your attention communicates something their heart understands. Acceptance. Eye contact is another part of presence that's often misunderstood. You don't need to stare or force it. It's about being attentive, not intense. When you maintain gentle eye contact, you're signaling, "I'm here with you." Combine that with nods or small affirmations. "I see what you mean," or "I get that." And the other person feels emotionally seen. This is how strangers can suddenly feel like friends, and how friends can grow into deep, lasting connections. Presence also means putting away distractions, literally and mentally. When you check your phone while someone is talking, even for a second, it breaks the emotional rhythm. It tells them they're not your priority in that moment. But when you put your phone down, lean slightly forward, and give them your full focus, they feel that difference instantly. It's subtle but emotionally powerful. Lastly, presence isn't just about how you show up for others. It's about how you show up for yourself. When your mind is calm, grounded, and focused, you naturally connect with others more deeply. That's because people can sense the energy of someone who's truly there. And when you give people that energy, they open up, they trust you, they feel understood, not because you said the perfect thing, but because you were there. Being fully present is simple, but it's not easy. It requires practice, patience, and self-awareness. But once you master it, you'll discover something extraordinary. That presence alone can create instant emotional connection. No words required. Matching someone's emotional energy is one of the most powerful ways to create an instant emotional connection, because it shows empathy on a level words alone can't reach. Most people focus so much on what to say that they completely forget how to feel with the other person. When you match someone's emotional energy, you're not pretending or mirroring their mood just to blend in. You're tuning in to their emotional state and showing that you understand it. It's emotional attunement and it's the foundation of trust. When someone is happy, excited, or celebrating, it feels natural to meet them with joy and enthusiasm. But the real challenge and the real opportunity for connection appears when someone is sad, angry, anxious, or hurt. Many people feel uncomfortable with other people's pain, so they try to change the subject or say something like, "Don't worry, it'll be fine." They mean well, but it often backfires. Why? Because when someone is struggling, they don't need you to fix their problem. They need you to feel it with them. They need to know they're not alone. Matching emotional energy starts with emotional awareness. Pay attention to their tone, their body language, and their pace of speech. Are they speaking softly because they're tired or vulnerable? Are they animated and passionate because they're excited? Are their eyes down because they feel defeated? These are the emotional cues that tell you how to connect. When you respond on the same emotional wavelength, you create alignment, a sense that you're emotionally in sync. For example, if a friend tells you they're overwhelmed at work, don't jump straight into advice mode. Instead, say something like, "That sounds really exhausting. You've been dealing with a lot lately, haven't you?" That small moment of empathy can change everything. It shows you understand how they feel, not just what they said. Once a person feels understood, they relax, they trust, and they open up more deeply. Emotional validation is the key that unlocks connection. It's also important to remember that emotional energy is contagious. If you come into a conversation with a calm, grounded energy, it can naturally soothe someone who's anxious or angry. But if you're impatient, distracted, or emotionally cold, people will feel it and shut down. Matching emotional energy doesn't mean losing yourself in someone else's emotions. It means creating balance between your calm and their chaos, between your warmth and their fear. It's about holding emotional space without judgment. When you truly connect with someone on this level, time seems to slow down. They feel seen, heard, and accepted. Not because you had the perfect words, but because your energy told them, "I get you." In that moment, you become more than a listener. You become a mirror that reflects their humanity back to them. Matching emotional energy is what turns surface-level conversations into soul-level connections. It's how you make people feel safe, understood, and deeply valued. And that, more than anything, is what emotional connection is all about. Sharing something real about yourself is the bridge that transforms ordinary interaction into emotional connection. People don't connect through perfection. They connect through authenticity. When you share a piece of who you truly are, not the filtered version you show the world, it tells others that it's safe to do the same. Vulnerability doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And being human is what draws people in. Many people fear vulnerability because they associate it with exposure or embarrassment. They think opening up will make them look needy or emotional. But the truth is, sharing something genuine about yourself, even something small, creates trust. It says, "I'm not hiding behind a mask." And that honesty invites others to lower their walls too. Whether you're talking to a stranger, a friend, or someone you're interested in, authenticity builds the kind of connection that can't be faked. Imagine you're having a conversation and the other person admits, "I've been feeling a bit lost lately." Now you have two choices. You can nod politely and move on, or you can meet them there. You could say, "I get that. I felt that way too before." Sometimes it's hard to know if you're even on the right path. Suddenly, the conversation shifts. It becomes real. You've both stepped out of small talk and into shared humanity. That's the moment when connection is born. You don't have to reveal your deepest secrets or share dramatic stories to be real. Authenticity lives in the small moments. Admitting you had a tough day, laughing at your own mistake, expressing genuine excitement or gratitude. When you show emotion openly, you're signaling to the other person that it's safe for them to be real too. People are starving for authenticity in a world full of performance. Every time you drop your guard, you give others permission to drop theirs. But vulnerability also requires balance. It's not about oversharing or dumping your problems on others. True vulnerability is about emotional honesty, not emotional dependence. It's saying, here's a little piece of my truth, not here's my whole identity. The key is to share from a place of self-awareness, not desperation. The goal isn't to get validation, but to create connection through honesty. When you share something real, people feel your sincerity. They don't just hear your words, they feel the courage behind them. They sense your emotional transparency. And that inspires trust. That's why authentic people are so magnetic. You can't help but be drawn to someone who's unapologetically themselves. At the core, sharing something real about yourself communicates one powerful message. I'm not perfect, but I'm genuine. And that's what people crave. Not someone flawless, but someone real. When you dare to be authentic, you create a space where both hearts can meet, without pretense, without performance, just truth. And that truth is where instant emotional connection truly begins. Making someone feel significant is one of the deepest emotional needs every human being carries, whether they admit it or not. At the core of every interaction, people are silently asking one question. Do I matter? When you make someone feel like they do, you tap into the very essence of emotional connection. It's not about flattery or praise. It's about recognition. It's about seeing someone not just for what they do, but for who they are. Most people go through life feeling unseen, unheard, and undervalued. They might have hundreds of followers, but very few people who truly notice them. That's why when you take the time to show genuine interest, to remember their name, recall a small detail they mentioned, or follow up on something they care about, it leaves a powerful impact. You instantly stand out because you're doing what so few people bother to do. You're showing that they matter. Making someone feel significant starts with simple, mindful actions. When you talk to someone, don't just ask, "How are you?" Ask questions that go deeper. What's been keeping you inspired lately? Or what's something you've been working on that you're proud of? People light up when they get the chance to talk about what matters to them. It shows that you're not just being polite, you're being present. And that presence translates into emotional connection. Another way to make someone feel significant is through genuine acknowledgement. When someone shares their thoughts, ideas, or emotions, validate them. You don't have to agree with everything they say. But showing that you understand their perspective is enough. You could say, "That's an interesting way to look at it," or "I can see why you'd feel that way." Validation tells the other person your feelings are real and your voice matters. That kind of acknowledgement goes straight to the heart. Small gestures also carry big emotional weight. A quick message to check in, a sincere compliment that focuses on character rather than appearance, or even remembering an important date. These little things make people feel valued. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. People don't remember everything you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. True emotional connection grows stronger when you treat people like they're important, even when you don't need anything from them. When you make time for others without an agenda, it shows purity of intent. You're not connecting for benefit. You're connecting because you genuinely care. That sincerity can't be faked, and people feel it instantly. At the heart of it all, making someone feel significant is about giving your attention, empathy, and respect freely. It's about making them feel like they belong, like they're seen and appreciated for who they are. When you do that, you don't just create a connection, you create trust, loyalty, and warmth that lasts far beyond the moment. That's how emotional connection becomes unforgettable. Body language is the silent language of emotion. It communicates who you are before you ever say a word. The way you move, look, and hold yourself sends messages that words can never fully express. When you use body language with warmth, openness, and intention, you build emotional connection instantly. People may forget your words, but they will always remember how your presence made them feel. The truth is, your body speaks long before your mouth ever opens. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools of emotional connection. When done with sincerity, it creates a feeling of safety and trust. It says, I see you, I'm here with you. But the key is balance. Too much can feel intimidating, too little can feel dismissive. Gentle, consistent eye contact helps someone feel acknowledged and respected. It tells them they have your attention. Pair that with soft facial expressions like a genuine smile or an empathetic nod, and you instantly make the other person feel more comfortable and understood. Your posture also plays a big role in connection. When you face someone directly, lean in slightly and keep your shoulders relaxed, you signal openness and engagement. Crossing your arms, looking away often, or keeping your body turned in another direction can make you seem closed off, even if your words are kind. Emotional connection thrives when your body says, I'm here, not I'm somewhere else. Mirroring is another subtle but powerful form of connection. It's when you naturally reflect the other person's movements or energy. If they speak softly, you lower your tone slightly. If they're animated, you show enthusiasm too. It's not about imitation, it's about emotional rhythm. When done naturally, mirroring builds subconscious trust. People feel more comfortable with those who feel in sync with them. And that comfort is the foundation of emotional connection. Touch, when appropriate and respectful, can also be incredibly powerful. A simple handshake, a pat on the back, or a light touch on the arm can communicate reassurance and warmth. Of course, boundaries are essential, but when the context is right, physical touch reinforces empathy and sincerity in a way words can't. Even your breathing and energy influence how others feel around you. When you're calm, grounded, and relaxed, the other person subconsciously mirrors that energy. But if you're tense, restless, or distracted, they feel it too. People don't just listen to what you say. They feel who you are. Your emotional state radiates through your body language, whether you realize it or not. Ultimately, body language is about congruence, alignment between your words and your energy. If you say, I'm happy to see you, but your tone and posture are cold, the words lose their meaning. But when your eyes, face, and gestures all communicate warmth, it creates harmony that people trust. Connection happens when your presence feels genuine. So use your body as an instrument of empathy to show care, confidence, and sincerity. Because long after words fade, people will remember your energy. Being interested rather than trying to be interesting is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to form an instant emotional connection. Most people enter conversations with the goal of being liked, admired, or remembered. They want to impress. But in doing so, they often miss the very thing that makes someone truly unforgettable: genuine curiosity. When you stop focusing on how you appear and start focusing on how the other person feels, you shift from ego to empathy. And that's where real connection begins. People are drawn to those who make them feel seen, heard, and valued. When you show authentic interest in someone, their story, their dreams, their struggles, you give them something rare in today's world: attention without agenda. Most conversations are transactional. People listen just long enough to respond or redirect the focus back to themselves. But when you listen to understand, when you ask questions because you truly care, people can feel that difference. It's not about flattery, it's about presence. Being interested starts with curiosity. Instead of asking generic questions like, "What do you do?" try asking, "What made you choose that path?" Or, "What's something that's been inspiring you lately?" These kinds of questions open emotional doors. They allow people to express more than facts. They allow them to share feelings. That's where connection grows, not in information, but in emotion. Another key part of showing interest is listening deeply without interrupting. When someone is speaking, resist the urge to jump in with your own story or opinion. Let them finish. Let silence breathe. People often reveal their truest thoughts in the pauses. Nod, make eye contact, and give verbal affirmations like, "That makes sense," or "I completely understand." These small cues tell the person that you're not just hearing them. You're absorbing what they're saying. It's also important to remember that being interested doesn't mean losing yourself or pretending to care about things you don't. It means finding genuine points of connection, emotions, experiences, or ideas that resonate with you. Everyone has something interesting about them if you're patient enough to see it. When people feel that you're genuinely curious about who they are, they start to relax and open up. They stop performing and start being real because your energy invites authenticity. Ironically, the moment you stop trying to impress people is the moment you become impressive. People remember how you made them feel far more than what you said. The ones who ask, listen, and care stand out in a world full of self-promotion. Being interested creates an emotional experience, one where the other person feels valued simply for being themselves. At its core, being interested over interesting is about shifting focus from self to connection. It's realizing that genuine curiosity builds stronger relationships than any clever story or charming line ever could. When you focus on making others feel understood instead of proving your worth, you become unforgettable. Not because you tried to shine, but because you helped someone else feel seen.